Detective Henin has arrived at the home of Tom Ford. He enters the home and notices the police is searching through each room for hidden cameras. Tom's wife and children, baffled, sits on the couch within the living room. The detective notices Mr. Ford is not home, but the living room is the same area that was shown on the tape. Detective Henin begins to look up to the ceiling, his eyes scaling every inch of the wall. He notices a motion detector has been placed in the far left upper corner of the room. He orders the nearest police officer to retrieve the item. Detective Henin examines the motion detector and discovers a small camera hidden within.
Mrs. Ford, where is your husband?
Please call me Tina. I don't know. Tom hasn't been home in 3 days. He left a message on the answer machine saying he had a work trip and he'll return next week. He hasn't called to check in, but I chalked it up to him working. I know it's demanding being a lawyer. He has spent plenty of late nights researching and preparing for upcoming cases. I have become accustomed to the lack of time we're able to spend together. Is everything okay with Tom?
We need to find your husband and ask him a few questions. Could you provide me a number I can reach him? Also, could you make a list of everyone who has entered your home within the last 6 months? A hidden camera has been found within your home, and we need to find out who put it there.
Shocked, Tina quickly writes down her husband's contact information and hands it to the detective.
A hidden camera? Why would someone hide a camera within my home? What's going on?
The detective hands Tina his business card, shakes his head and starts to walk toward the front door.
We don't have any answers right now, but I'll reach back out if I have further questions.
As the detective exits the home, he notices a front door camera. He turns back to face Tina Ford and points to the camera.
Is this camera always recording?
Yes. I haven't had a reason to check the footage in a while, but it is always recording.
Could you send me the recordings for the last 6 months?
The memory only holds storage for 14 days. I can send you that information. Should I be worried? Is my family in danger?
No, you shouldn't be worried. I don't believe you or your children are a target.
Well, I'm going to leave and stay with my mom for a few weeks, at least until Tom comes home.
Tina writes down her contact information on a piece of paper found on the coffee table and hands it to the detective.
Here is my number and the address if you need to reach me.
Thank you.
Detective Henin leaves the home and decides to call the number Tina gave him to reach Tom Ford. A woman answers the phone.
Hello?
Hello! This is Detective Henin from Conway's Homicide Department. May I please speak to Tom?
Oh, thank God! Have you found the bastard? Have you found whoever killed this poor man? We found his phone after the police left and decided to keep it in case it was needed for the investigation.
Detective Henin is confused. He pauses for a moment to evaluate the information he's receiving.
Investigation? Poor man. I'm not following what you're talking about. I need to speak with Tom Ford pertaining to my investigation.
Well, if the man that owns this phone is named Tom Ford, then he's dead.
Dead?
Yes, dead. Someone ran him over with a truck in our parking lot 3 days ago. Just left his body mangled in the street. The victim didn't have any identification on him. We've been holding his phone, waiting for the police or family to call to retrieve it.
Who am I speaking to, and where did this incident occur?
I am Cynthia, the owner of 𝐿𝐿𝐼𝐼𝐼𝐼, the bar located on 5th Street. The hit-and-run incident happened within my parking lot. The police took our statements, but the cameras were malfunctioning that day, so we didn't have the murder recorded.
Terrible day for your cameras to not work. It's law for every bar in Conway to have working cameras.
I'm aware, Detective. It just so happened that our cameras were being serviced this day. The maintenance woman was missing a piece needed for the repairs and scheduled to return the next day. The incident coincidentally occurred that night.
Detective Henin thought to himself,
There's no such thing as coincidence. Do you have the contact information for the maintenance company, specifically the woman?
Yes, I do. Give me a moment.
The detective can hear Cynthia fumbling through some papers.
Here it goes. I remember her handing me a card number Terriel Service 501-4379898.
Thank you. Do you remember Mr. Ford Domineer that night? Did anything seem unusual about him to you?
I never got his name, but he was a regular. I used to always see him at the bar every Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. Usually, a young blonde woman would accompany him, but this night he was alone. I did notice that he kept checking his phone, and he was frequently grumbling to the bartender about his girlfriend not speaking to him. He told the bartender he hasn't been able to reach her in over a week, and that he believes she may be dead. He was pretty drunk, so the bartender stopped serving him around 10 p.m. He became angry and stumbled out the door, and that was the last time I saw him until I heard screams in the parking lot. Such awful screams. I could never get them out of my head.
Sorry for making you relive such a horrendous experience, but I need to know, were there any witnesses?
Just one, a lady named Tiara Jensen. She said Tom was stumbling across the street, so she was walking towards him to assist. Then out of nowhere, a big black truck going full speed ran into Mr. Ford and just kept going. His blood and guts splattered all over her face. He landed headfirst directly in front of her. She said she saw his life leave his body. Poor girl. She was in so much shock by what she had witnessed that she never got the license tag number. I will never forget her dreadful scream.
The bar owner goes silent.
I'm quite sure the responding officers got Miss Jensen's information. Thank you for speaking to me this evening. I will have an officer there soon to retrieve Mr. Ford's phone. Our department also provides grief and trauma services. Please reach out.
I'll look into that. Thank you, Detective.
Vanessa Smith walks to the front door.
Who is it?
It's me, honey. Alfred.
Vanessa exhales slowly and opens the door. Alfred is standing in front of her with a charming smile and a big bouquet of flowers. Vanessa doesn't smile. She just stares.
Hey, baby. I told you I didn't hurt that girl. I've been released from jail and fully cleared. Pray I come in.
No, you don't live here anymore, Alfred.
Daddy!
Alfred's daughter and son rushes towards the door as soon as they heard their dad's voice. Vanessa steps out of the way, and the children push past her to embrace their dad.
We missed you so much, Daddy. We're so happy you're home.
Vanessa leaves the front door and goes to sit inside the living room. Alfred enters the house carrying one child in each arm.
I missed y'all too. You both have gotten so big. I feel like I haven't seen any of you in forever. How's school been? What have I missed?
Both children overtalk each other as they try to answer their dad's questions.
One at a time. Matter of fact, we have all night. Let me speak to your mom for a moment.
Okay, Daddy. We'll be upstairs. Don't forget to come talk.
I will never forget to talk to either of you ever again.
Both children give Alfred a hug and run upstairs. Alfred enters the living room where Vanessa is sitting and sits on the couch beside her.
Do you remember when we bought this house? We designed this room specifically for our family.
I don't want to go down memory lane with you. I want you out of my home. I'm going to redecorate this entire room.
Vanessa, I know you're angry with me. I'm angry with myself, but can you please forgive me? I made a mistake.
A mistake. You basically ruined our entire family, and now you call it a mistake. Was it a mistake before your bitch died, or is it now a mistake because your bitch is dead?
All of it was a mistake. Ever putting myself in a position to lose you or my family is the biggest mistake in my life.
Well, Alfred, I'm not mentally prepared to live within your mistake. I need some time.
I don't want to rush your healing process. I just want you to heal, and I want my family back. I will do whatever you need me to do to make this entire situation up to you. Anything.
Leave. Right now, all I want is for you to leave.
Sure. I'm renting a 3-bedroom Airbnb inside a building a couple of miles away. I really want you and my family back, Vanessa.
Alfred writes down his address on a piece of paper sitting on the living room table. Vanessa ignores his pleas.
Come past tomorrow while the children are in school, and we can discuss a visitation schedule. You can take the children to your house tomorrow after school.
That's fine.
Alfred realizes Vanessa is not ready to drop her guards. He gets up, leaves the living room, and walks to the front door.
Zach, Marie!
Both children come running down the steps towards Alfred.
Hey, Dad, where are you going?
I'm staying in a house a few blocks away for now, but I'll be back tomorrow to pick you both up and spend some time with you.
Why can't you stay here, Daddy?
Because I made an unwise decision, sweetheart, and my punishment is time away from all of you. Daddy's in timeout.
I hope you get out soon, Daddy.
Marie starts to laugh and kisses Alfred goodbye. Alfred hugs both of his children goodbye and looks at Vanessa.
I hope so too, sweetheart.
Alfred Smith enters his new apartment. It looked organized, just an average Airbnb. Oversized welcome mat and mediocre home decor. Nevertheless, he was simply happy to be out of that vile jail environment. He kicks off his shoes at the door, walks into the small living room and sits on the couch.
Finally, feel so exhausted. I hope there's something good to watch on the television.
Alfred flicks through the channels and catches a glimpse of Jessica on the news. He pauses and listens.
Another murder has taken place in Conway. Last Saturday, the body of 𝐉𝐨𝐬𝐧 has been discovered inside a local laundromat. Her family has gathered to grieve.
Another murder?
An overwhelming intuition befalls Alfred. He starts to suspect whoever killed 𝐉𝐨𝐬𝐧 is the same killer of Dr. Jessica Ross. But to avoid further thoughts of Jessica, Alfred changes the channel and starts to watch late-night cartoons. As soon as he got comfortable, there was a knock on the door.
Who could this be? I'm not expecting anyone.
Alfred walks to the door and looks out of the peephole. There was an elderly man standing there, but he didn't recognize him.
Who is it?
Maintenance? Are you the renter Alfred Smith? The owner scheduled this call due to an issue with the heating system.
Alfred didn't have an issue with the temperature, but he wasn't in the mood to argue. He was happy to be free. He opened a door to greet the elderly man.
Yes, I'm Alfred. Come on in.
As soon as Alfred finished speaking, the elderly man handed him an envelope.
You've been served.
The elderly man briskly walks away and leaves Alfred standing there in shock. Alfred yells at the elderly man as he enters the elevator.
What the fuck for?
The elderly man waves and the elevator doors closes. Alfred opens the envelope and discovers divorce papers. He begins to sob, but there's another knock at the door. Alfred angrily swings the door open, but this time there is not an elderly man standing there. This time he is greeted by the hooded figure wearing a monstrous mask.
What the fuck is this?
The banana killer sprays bleach in Alfred's eyes. He begins to scream.
Now you are blind to your sins.
The banana killer punches Alfred in the face. Alfred stumbles back, clutching his nose. The killer steps inside the apartment and slams the door behind him. Grabs Alfred by the hair, knees him in the back, forcing Alfred to kneel, pulls his head back and dumps the remaining spray bottle of bleach inside his mouth and nose. Alfred begins to choke and gag.
Now you can taste your hurt. Will you forgive me for what I have done to you? Will you?
The banana killer throws Alfred on the ground and leaves. Alfred slumps to the ground, gasping for air, blinded to the world.